Welcome back, CSC 121 W1, to the exciting Part 3 conclusion to 23 dictionaries, where we're just going to cycle through our nested dictionaries a little bit and print them out a little bit nicer than what we did here at our last kind of part that we were working on. Now, if we go back to Python dictionaries here, one thing we can do is we could loop through dictionaries, loop through a dictionary. Now, we're nested, so we'd have to loop through nested, which is a little more challenging, but if we just loop through them, this one will loop through all the values one by one. Now, let's just see what this does here. It just prints out Ford Mustang 1964. And we might want to do that and actually just kind of loop through those. Now, that just loops through one dictionary. Now, we'd want to loop through all of them, so we'd have to do something more for nested. But let's just try this out. Let's go here, and I'm going to comment this. So I could just put a pound sign in front of it. You could do command // but I'm just going to put a pound sign in front of it, comment that out, and run it just to make sure I'm just getting those three things. And I'll do a for loop, and I'll do just what they're doing here. I'll try this. For x in, I'll just copy this just for the hell of it, and I'll go here and paste it. Now I'll do for x in, let's try NL East, and I'll print NL East. I'll follow the same format that it has there, and let's just see what this does. And it basically just prints out everything like we did before. So it's still not in a really readable kind of way, the fact that it's doing that. So what you can do, and I'll just show you this. Now this I got from different sources, but one of the things you can do here is do a loop like this and use items. So let's try something different. I'm going to even comment out this. I'll use the command // and if not, just put 2 pound signs there. So I'll run it just to remove that again. Now what I'm going to do now is do another loop, and I'm going to do for, and basically I'll make a variable basically for the key and the value. And you could put key value, or you could put teams info. I'll just put key value. It might be more readable to use teams and info, but I'll do key value. And just so you know what we're talking about, and I'll say for key value in NL East, and I'll put dot items. Now we're using dot items. That's a method to get all the items from there. And we're cycling through here, and let's just print them out and see what happens. And we'll just print out key value, see what this looks like. And basically getting the same thing again. Now, what if we just did value? Let's just print out the value, see what that looks like. And we're still getting everything in there. So what we're going to do is kind of take it down one step further. We're going to kind of burrow into the nested list. So what we could do here is make another for loop, and we'll do for, and this time we'll just use like for I. We could even just do for I in here, or we can do K and V just to be a little different. I could do K, V, and I could say in the value. So we're going to go through all the values. So we could go through the value instead of worrying about the keys, because we just want to take the values from here. So let's do KV in value. So we're kind of going down here into the deeper list. So we're going to go value dot items. So we're digging in a little bit. And then when we print out, we just want the value. We just want values here. So we'll just do V. See what that looks like. And instead of the value here, what I'm going to do, I'll just do a \n. Just kind of make a space here. So we're doing for key value in all the items. So that just kind of gets everything. But now we're kind of digging down further, and we're saying, okay, inside of the values that we got, inside of all these values, and we still have a key and a value inside there, we're still going to loop through all of those. So basically we're looping through these now. So now we're looping through these inside here, because the key value originally, one of the values was the PGH. So now we're looping through further into it, and we're getting through there, and we're just going to print out the value of them. And what that should do is that should print out this stuff. It should only print out that stuff within there, because the original values was everything, because these things are all the information. So when you're printing out the values here, they're all the information. So when we did key value, just to point out what this is, key and value is basically, in NL-least items, is basically key and value. So it's putting all that stuff in there. And that's why when we just printed out the values, it still did all of this stuff here. And except it's doing the key and values inside the original dictionaries, if that makes any sense. So we're not seeing PGH or any of those capital letter things, but it was only doing those. So I think the other way it had everything. But now it should just get the value in this stuff. And if we do this line break here, it should kind of make a line break before each one. Let's see what happens. And that's actually what we want. That looks pretty good. So now it's printing out the values inside there. So it's digging through this dictionary and getting those values, which these are the values. That's all where our information is. You could call it info. Sometimes you call it team and info, T and I or something like that. But now, after we go through all of them, we're digging through further and we're getting another key value, except we're getting them through the value, through that one. So whatever all the items, you could do this. You could call it teams, info, and then this would be info. So you could still do KV here is fine. I think you could leave it like that. Let's see what happens. Should be the same. And that works. So now we have, for each one now, we have Pittsburgh Pirates, we have the city, and then we have their colors after it. And we don't have anything where it's saying colors or state or anything like that, but that's pretty good for now. So I think I think for the third part, we're probably okay for this right now, as far as what we're digging into in dictionaries. So again, we're not going to do a whole lot with dictionaries because I don't see the value a whole lot in dictionaries because we're going to work with databases. So we're going to try to work with the Replit database and then hopefully work with either a MySQL, which is using PySQL, or MongoDB. I'm still working with those things. So I'm trying them out. I haven't worked a lot with the databases. Sometimes I work with MySQL and PHP, but I haven't worked a lot with Python, and I haven't worked a lot with it in Replit. So I'm still kind of working out those things. So that's why I'm delaying a little bit before I'm recording these videos. And even going out of sequence a little, I threw that object-oriented one in there because I already had that done, but as I'm working through this stuff, because I want to make sure I can explain it, and I know what I'm talking about, and it's kind of relevant so for what we're doing here. So hopefully this is a little intro to dictionaries. And again, as far as databases, it's really just data that we're kind of organizing. And we did it here by making a nested dictionary, one dictionary inside of another. But certain databases are a much better way to organize data than doing all this. It's just a lot of code that we're kind of sifting through here, and it's getting more complicated trying to do these for loops. So we're going to work more with the Replit database and MySQL and possibly the Mongo database, as long as I feel familiar with it and I feel comfortable teaching it. So that's what we're going to try to do before we get into the tkinter GUI exercises that we're going to work on. So anyway, if you get this and you get it printed out like that, you could try different things as well. Just copy this and you're going to put that under Unit 10, and that's for EX23. So it's a little late in the unit, but anyway, that's your introduction to dictionaries using this exercise and also W3 Schools. So thanks for hanging in there for part 1, 2, and 3.